Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Dr. Colin Zhu, and thank you so much for being here with us. This is the Thrive Bites podcast, and welcome to season 5. Here we talk about 3 things: plant-powered living, enhancing emotional resilience, and creating a thriving mindset. And I interview the most passionate guests here, ranging from physicians to coaches to dietitians to entrepreneurs. And my hope is to give you really informative and high-valued conversations. So please follow us here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and wherever you hear your podcasts. Come on in, and I can't wait to see you inside. Hey guys, welcome to another episode. This is Dr. Colin Zhu, aka the Chef Doc, and welcome back to Thrive Bites podcast. And today, I am joined by Dennis Cohlmia. He is the founder of Strive Nutrition, and a little bit about him. He founded KanPak back in 1980 in Arkansas City, Kansas, and he's basically a leader in aseptic processing. And he's dedicated many decades in the dairy industry, and now he's taking things differently and finding Strive Nutrition and producing a line of products that is not only better in terms of nutrition, but also better for the planet and climate. Strive is a sustainable nutrition company, and as per their website, they say that they are thinking of themselves as a family on a mission and to make things simpler, healthier, and better for the planet. And their journey started 40 years ago. So that's a great episode. We talked about his journey coming up and what he is doing and working with others to make things simpler, using cleaner ingredients, and ultimately leaving a less of a carbon footprint for the climate. So you don't want to miss this, and I encourage you to watch it, and I will see you at the show. Okay, guys. Well, welcome to another episode of the Thrive Bites podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Colin Zhu, and thank you so much for being here with us. You could have been anywhere in the world, and you decided to give just a few precious moments with us today, and we are greatly, greatly appreciative of that. So, without further ado, I am very, very excited for today's guests. And we are discussing a great, great topic. But first, his name is Dennis Cohlmia, and he founded Strive Nutrition. And before that, he founded other companies, and he started off with KanPak in 1980 in Arkansas City in Kansas, and he was a pioneer of the aseptic processing and packaging industry in North America, producing a variety of dairy and non-dairy based products, including the first iced coffee products in the United States. He went on to building that company, and it became a very international business spanning over US, Mexico, and China before selling it in 2016. And KanPak has been responsible for many firsts in the US over the years. With Strive Nutrition, it is a sustainable nutrition company, and very, very family oriented, and they're on a mission to make things simpler, healthier, and better for the planet. And they are focusing on not just protein-enriched beverages that are better tasting, more nutritious, and better for the planet. And their saying is, if you don't need it, we don't either, because we're people like you as well. So without further ado, please welcome Dennis.
Thank you. Thank you, Colin. Good to be with you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dennis, for being here with us. I know you're a very, very busy man, and we are very excited to, go into, what your company is currently doing. And before we get to that, I like to orient my audience, on how you got here. But for my first question is, where are you calling from?
I am calling from Wichita, Kansas, which is a town where I was born. And we're back here. I moved back here. I built the business here. I actually, after college, my wife and I left, moved to California and New York, and then came back. And I started the business here in over 1979, actually, KanPak. And I thought I'd be here for 5 years and then sell it. But 35 years later, we had 4 kids and a large business. And so after we sold it, we did move away for a while, and then we're back because we have grandkids here, and Wichita is a good place to start a business.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. I personally have never been to Kansas. I'm been bi-coastal. I've, originally from New Jersey, and now I'm in Southern California. So not much time is spent for me, but I'm, very excited. If I do make it out that way, I'll come and visit.
We do a lot of fun things. We watch, paint rooms and watch them dry, things like that. But it is.
I'm sure there's way more than that.
There is way more. There's a lot. It's a lovely place, lovely people, and it's very agricultural, obviously, and so it's a great place to start a food business.
Great. So let's start from the beginning. So can you take us the origins of Strive? And I know you started off in the 70s with your original company, but how did you make that transition to what you're building currently today?
Well, we were in my old business. We were a co-packer for a variety of protein drinks and consumer products in bottles, at one time Tetra Pak, etc. And so we always were a developer and manufacturer of these products. And after we sold the business, we thought we would like to go be on the brand side, or be on the side where we were capital light and developing products and bringing them to market. And so we my son and I purchased a small beverage company because we love the name Strive, and we had actually looked at it when we were over the years and thought that would be the right name for a product that inspired nutrition, inspired people to go beyond themselves. So we purchased a small powder business called Strive Nutrition, and we didn't do much with it with the powder side. And I got a little distracted for a while because we actually still have an aseptic plant in China. And so I was actually very involved with that. And then in 2020, we really got involved with Strive and decided to bring it to market as a ready-to-drink line of really starting out protein drinks.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And, so you are including your family, and you have included your family as part of the business.
Yes. Actually, my wife and I are partners, and we have been for almost 50 years now together. We've been together 49. She says it feels like 50, but be that as it may. And my son, who did work at KanPak before we sold, on the aseptic side, is involved. And now, recently, we've had my daughter's joined us as the CMO, and her husband. They actually moved back here from Los Angeles.
Oh wow!
And so we are truly a family business.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So at the heart of it, and I love the fact that it is a family business, and I'm sure there's inherent challenges with that. What is the core messaging for Strive Nutrition? What do you hope to achieve, being that it started, not too long ago? I know that you have a range of products, coming down the pike, and, we'll definitely go more into that. But what do you hope to achieve that isn't necessarily have been done in the current marketplace, would you say?
Well, that's a good question. Our original intent was, we started with Strive. We actually, I spent 40 years on the dairy side, as well as we did a lot of plant-based products at KanPak. But we originally looked at Strive as going up against all the other protein drinks using a dairy-based product. We actually looked at ultrafiltration in the dairy side, and we developed some good products. And then we started seeing we had to be on the plant. We had to have plant-based versions of Strive. And so we looked at various vegetable proteins, pea protein, etc. And I've done a lot of work with pea protein over at KanPak over the years, from the original when it originally came on site, because it was really a low cost replacement for dairy, and when people wanted to lower the cost of their beverages. But we weren't really satisfied with that because it's not a complete protein. I mean, plant proteins aren't complete unless you put them together properly. Mm-hmm. So I knew about Perfect Day, and I knew about what was going on with precision fermentation and alternative proteins. So we contacted them, and we started up a conversation about what we wanted to do with Strive, and we tested their products, their whey protein isolate made through fermentation, and we were surprised. It was excellent. It is bioidentical to whey protein, and we decided did various tests with them, and we decided that we weren't going to do dairy, we weren't going to do the plant side, we were going to go right into the future, headlong into the future, because we could see that what was happening with climate change, with new alternative proteins happening in the marketplace. And I knew a lot about the dairy side, about the inefficiencies of really what dairy is. And so we decided that we were going to hang our hat on that business and go full on into it and see what would happen. And that's how we got into it. We did decide to change from being strictly protein beverages, protein drinks, to moving into what we see as plant-based and milk alternatives. And we decided that because we could see that category was growing dramatically. And the one deficiency of plant-based drinks, almond, oat, is really the lack of protein. And so we could see that adding or enriching those beverages with the Perfect Day whey protein isolate was almost a perfect product to bring to the marketplace. At the same time, we also developed a milk alternative is Strive Free Milk, which is another trademark. That is an animal-free dairy product. And we decided to bring those to market also at the same time. So we're bringing to market 5 SKUs, which are oat barista, almond, unsweetened vanilla almond, and Strive Free Milk, whole milk, and Strive Free Milk chocolate. That's our beginnings. We will follow up with what we call Strive Plus, which are the protein drinks we'll bring out later in 2022.
Yeah. I think it's definitely advantageous the fact that you've worked on the dairy side, so you pretty much knew what, the ins and outs of that industry, and understanding that, the marketplace is shifting towards, animal free and, plant based, and, more with climate change, like you're saying, we need to be able to find solutions that are sustainable at the end of the day. I think one of the biggest disconnects about food and nutrition is really, where it came from and how it ends up in our stores, restaurants, and plates and tables. And there's a large gap of all these different things that happen, but the average consumer doesn't really, see that. So to have a company, be able to, think ahead and say, we want to be able to not just affect have better tastes, right? And just follow, consumer trends. It's more about, what is better in the whole grand scheme of things, right? And having an understanding that it all affects all of us, like you and I, we live on the same planet, we're just not in 2 different states and not in 2 different countries, etc. But we all live on the same blue planet. And so how do we continue to make the efforts that we create, not just serve the consumer, but serve ourselves and, serve everyone at large. So I think that's great.
Well, we really, honestly, my wife, JT, and I we were talking in the evening about what about this Perfect Day product. And we really do believe our first view to this was we wanted to do something that was for the planet, to make things better in the environment. And that's really was our driving force behind going headlong into animal-free dairy products. We understand from being in this business for so long that if it doesn't taste great, you're not going to get anybody to buy it, no matter what.
Sure.
Taste it. And also, we also believe very, very much in efficient nutrition. And something that we've always believed in as a family is proper nutrition, proper exercise. And we really felt like we could make products that had great taste, great nutrition, and were mindful to what the planet requires as we go into the future. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. We know a long runway here with these types of products. There's a lot of people that are coming into the marketplace with alternative proteins and dairy. There's been almost over $3 billion invested into a variety of companies who are working on everything from whey protein to casein, cheese, and a variety of products. And it's going to take hold, but it's going to take time for us to really get that done.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Can we, talk about, how, this, you mentioned Perfect Day, which is, the partner company that you're using. How does that work exactly? When you're saying that you were creating like an animal-free protein / milk from flora, basically microorganisms, how does that exactly work? If you can explain that to us.
Well, we all know fermentation it's been around for centuries, and many things are made through fermentation. I used to make yogurt and in our plants, and that is a product from fermentation. But that's a product where you're using the entire mass as the finished product. Perfect Day is taking the code or the DNA from the internet. They're not getting it directly from an animal, and they are using, like you said, microflora, which is a fungus, if you will, and they are coating that microflora or inoculating that microflora to then, and they're in a biomass, and they're feeding that with a grain or sugars, primarily like a corn or a grain, so that it'll enable that to grow. And in the fermentation process, which is time, temperature, pressure, they're able to grow the whey protein in that biomass. And unlike yogurt, where you're using the entire mass as the product, they are separating that whey protein that has been grown via the microflora, and they are separating it, filtering it, and most of the biomass is then reworked, or should I say, goes through a process to clean it and reuse it again, if you will. Mm-hmm. And the whey protein is then filtered, goes through separation, is filtered very much like dairy products are filtered through ultrafiltration, and then processed, dried. It's really vegan. But at the same time, it is bioidentical to whey protein. So it is a precision fermentation process versus a straight fermentation process.
Oh, that's excellent. How does that, a part of the climate change is really about, when you're producing things, is paying attention to the energy inputs. We know that from, livestock, the land that they use, the land that we, use to graze, to grow the crops, to feed them, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of energy inputs, right? So when you're doing this fermentation process with, microflora, how does that compare to traditional, milk processings in terms of the actual climate footprint?
They have done extensive studies on energy inputs, emissions, water consumption, and the numbers that Perfect Day has put on their website and I have read we're saving 60% of the energy input that is used to produce, let's say, the same amount of milk. We're saving virtually 99% of the water consumption. because I've been around dairy farms. I know cows can drink 50 to 75 gallons of water a day, and the use of water on a dairy farm is enormous, whether it's to clean or to clean tanks, to clean cow, to clean pens, etc. And then they're saving 97% less emissions producing this whey protein isolate through precision fermentation. It really is kind of I call it almost a miracle that we're able to produce this nutritious of a protein in almost anywhere you can set up the proper factory. And fermentation is done almost like a pharma product, and it's done properly, and it's a natural process. And think about the fact that if you can set up this in a part of the world where they need that nutrition, and you're able to produce it right there and be able to make finished products out of it and bring it to the marketplace without having to have the land use of a cow, the cost of dealing with taking care of cows, with milking the cows with 3 times a day.
Yeah.
All of the inputs that it takes to get that milk also to the processor, who has to go through the same testing procedures and handling procedures, and then putting it into the marketplace. And there's nothing, I've always, milk is an ancient business, but it also is a pretty inefficient way to ferment. I mean, a cow is a big fermentation process, if you think about it, a big bioreactor, and it's really only about 4% efficient with what the inputs and what you get out of it. And it makes it extremely efficient in producing these types of dairy proteins.
Yeah. So, those are very important, points to highlight, because, the average consumer doesn't really think about that. They think about, consuming it, ingesting it for not just, quote unquote nutrition and sustenance, but also, for hydration or rehydration, for athletic performance, things like that. We still have, perceptions that, it's to help us, for, some athletes and training and things like that. So it's very important to be aware of how inefficient, this kind of industry can be, and has been, and the fact that it doesn't really give us the best nutrition, what I'm saying, if at all, and we don't need it, it's not necessary. And that, you have been working on, different ways, So my question to you is that, what are some common misconceptions about when you have been building up, Strive Nutrition, or, have building it ever since you bought it, and, building up since 2020? What are some common misconceptions about the whole plant-based industry, since, it's spanned the market, and because it's taking on, there's a huge demand for it. So, hey guys, if you are interested in having a consultation with me and actually see me one-on-one, the Chef Doc Lifestyle Medicine practice has partnered with Plant-Based Telehealth, and we offer lifestyle medicine consultations. So you'll be able to see me one-on-one, and I can go over your health history and seeing what we can do to fill in the gaps. We can talk about your physical health, anything from food to lifestyle to diet to setting up your kitchen to cooking preparation to grocery shopping to your mental health. I think it's important that we build our emotional resilience, to talking about your sleep and how to stay hydrated, and what are the best medicines if necessary, what are the best supplementations if necessary. And we do all this in a very concise manner, and it's a conversation. I take the time out to listen. I take the time out to really understand you from the ground up, and to look at all aspects of your physical, emotional, and mental health. And please, drop me a line, schedule an appointment if you want to see me one-on-one. And I am very, very looking forward to learning more about you. And again, thank you so much for visiting here at the Chef Doc.
Colin, when you talk about misconceptions, if I could take you back to 1986, 2007, I think. I was one of the first to have Tetra Pak in the United States, and we did Acid Foods. And I remember I even forgot the company that we did this for, but we made a soy milk in the plant. We actually cooked the soybeans in the vat and extracted the soy milk, and we produced the brownest soy milk I've ever seen in my life. However, it was early on in those days when they were producing soy milk for the marketplace, and and I had people in the dairy side who thought I was absolutely crazy for even messing with it. But a lot of the misconceptions has come from the fact that how do you, in our traditional way of looking at nutrition, whether it be meat, dairy, etc., how can the plant-based people say that it is equal to nutritionally as it is for the protein you would get from meat or from dairy? And there is a big misconception there because there are ways that you are getting the same nutrition from a plant-based side, and I think that's really been a problem since day one. And getting traditional people in the United States, especially in rural areas and smaller cities where they've been so provincially based on their nutrition, whether it be meat and potatoes or whatever, to get them to change over or understand that it's better for them is a long haul. It's tough, but we are doing it in a way that we are kind of blending both the plant-based side, let's say oat, and this new way of looking at dairy protein. So we have a combination product that really does satisfy a number of consumers.
Gotcha. And even if you do, so some of your products do have dairy from a cow, correct?
Well, no, they actually have dairy from the precision fermentation process. So really,
it's bioidentical, like you said before.
Bioidentical. Right? It is vegan. They call it vegan friendly. That's kind of the new phrase, but it does give you those notes of a dairy product that are really satiating. That really are very satisfying in the product. At the same
but essentially, you're not using animals.
No, we're not using any animals, and that's the key.
That's a key thing we got to highlight. Yeah,
and that's why we see the possibilities for what this process and these products can bring to the marketplace that is better for the planet. When you think about it, right now, I mean, there are going to be grain shortages in the world, and people are going to have to make decisions. Do they feed those animals or do they feed humans? And the cost of maintaining a concentrated animal feeding operation and what it takes to continue to feed that animal and the cost of dealing with that, that's not easy. It takes a lot of land. It takes a lot of protein that can go really to human beings. And so our belief is we're separating that from, we're not just a plant-based protein, but we are a vegan dairy protein, if you will. And I believe that's the great combination we can put together with plant proteins.
Yeah, like we're continuing to highlight, it's important to understand how much, again, it's the energy, it's the amount of water, it's the amount of fossil fuel, it's all these emissions that are coming out and the amount of land. We already don't have enough land, and a lot of it is just the Amazon. I think around 20% of the Amazon is deforested, for grazing livestock. And it's a huge deal.
It's major. And I've done a lot of business in China. I have a plant there. I've seen how their dairy world has processed. They love dairy products, but dairy farms in China are not efficient. The land use in China can be put to other things rather than just a dairy farm, and that's something that I think is going to take hold in different countries where land use can be better served, not for dairy farms.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Switching gears back to the nutritional side, if one is looking at your products and, wanting to understand the nutritional profile compared, for your products versus other plant-based milks, how does it hold? Does it comparative or is it, do even better?
I think it does even better because, whey protein is a complete protein. And it absorbs quickly. And when we combine that with, as example, when we make our oat milk, we're using oat powder. We have some oat protein in there, but we're enriching that to bring it up to 10 grams of protein per serving in total. So milk is 8 grams of protein per serving. So we are actually going further. We're going to double digit on a per serving in protein. So and we're not adding any sugar to that because there are some natural sugars in oat already because of the way the oat is processed. So we feel like that gives this beverage great efficiency. It tastes fantastic, and it makes an incredible latte when you want to because of all that extra protein in there. And so that's a big difference. And that it brings a certain essence to the product that truly makes it an oat milk.
Mm-hmm. And currently, are the products in the marketplace right now, or are they still coming up?
Well, we will start our first production the first part of August in a Tetra Pak, in a Tetra Edge shelf stable. So we are not in the marketplace just yet. We will start with e-commerce. We do have some retailers that are ready to go with it, and we're going to take our time going into the marketplace. And we've got time on our side. We have we've got the capital behind it. We feel like we're going to be able to make it work.
Nice. And, if you had to look at this, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, a lot of environmentalists, a lot of environmental scientists, climate scientists believe that this is, truly a really, really critical decade. How do you see, your products and your company, contributing to that part of it as a alternative for the future of milk?
I think that's the key to what we're doing. I've read the reports recently from the UN, and we are a critical stage if we don't do something right now. If the temperature of the Earth goes beyond an increase of more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, you're going to have things like the permafrost will start melting, and I don't know if people understand that. America is the worst country when it comes to climate denial and climate change deniers, and versus the rest of the world. But we need to get it together and understand that if we don't do something drastic, we're going to have real issues with rising sea levels. If you get you even get 10% of the ice caps to melt. Miami will be underwater. Lower Manhattan will be underwater. So there are issues that we have to do right now to change things. And that's really what we believe is the most important part of what we're doing. We're bringing great nutrition, great tasting products, and products that people use every day, and we're making them good for the planet.
Yeah,
it's a given. They taste great. They have to taste great.
Yeah.
So that's really our view, is that we want to we're making a small difference. It's not going to change the world, but in our small way, better. And that's where we came up with strive for better. Not strive for greatness is wonderful. We all want to be great, but we know every day people are just trying to strive to be a little better, make things better for life. And that's how we feel about what we can do for our planet.
Yeah. I'm in agreement. I think, for me, it's not really about being on top. It's continuing to, it's a process of learning and, every day being better than yesterday. So I definitely, resonate with that. So last question before we close out is, being that you are the head honcho for these companies, how do you take time to thrive in your own life? What are some, self-care routines that you do to, make sure that, you're in check. So everyone, around you is able to steer the ship well. So,
Well, I've first and foremost, I've learned as I've gotten older, sleep is very important. So even though as you get older, you sleep less, maybe it's, that you can see the end of your life. However, sleep is extremely important. I've really learned that. Second, diet is extremely important. I tell people every day that diet, fitness is really 80% what you eat, 20% workout. And people have to eat properly, reduce sugar, better protein, don't overeat. And so that's a real important part of what we do in my life. And that is to make sure that nutritionally I'm doing the right things. And then of course every day exercise. My wife and I are avid bikers, and I quit running. Really, I do long walks. You've gotta have that aerobic, and then you gotta lift weights. I grew up, I was an athlete growing up, and I'm a believer that you have to have resistance training, and you have to, if you want your muscles to stay toned, if you want your bones to increase in size, you've got to lift those weights. And as we get older, I believe that that's one of the most important things is to keep yourself, keep your bones and your muscles in good shape.
In check. Yeah, no, I resonate with all those. It's really about basics. And that's what we do here on the show is continuing to reinforce and continue to repeat and practice those basics until it's secondhand for everyone. So, Dennis, thank you so much for being here on the show. I think, you guys been doing great. You've been in industry, for a while now. And also, we're striving for the future. And I cannot wait to see, where your company takes off to. If people wanted to learn more about your company, where can they go to?
Well, our website is striveforbetter.com. You can go to the website. You can learn a lot about what we're doing, the ingredients we're putting into the product, what we believe in, and what we believe we can become. So that's the best place to start. We will start e-commerce September 1. Our e-commerce site will be up and running, and we're going to be very cognizant of the fact that we have to be competitive in price, and we want people to try our product. And we look forward to everybody giving it a try and tasting it and living a better life. And we pray that the world will get better and we'll learn that we have to do things differently than we've done in the past.
Yeah. Very, 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 very true. So, it's critical. So whatever we can do, our little part in the world. So, Dennis, thank you so much for being here on the show. We really appreciate it. And, thank you for all you do.
All right, Colin, take care of yourself. You're doing the right thing. You're doing good work.
Thank you.
Teaching nutrition and things about the world. That's important.
Yes. Thank you. We are continuing to do our best here. Guys, thank you so much for watching another episode. If you like this, please like, subscribe, and comment. And if you feel that this was a benefit for someone else, please let them know. And until then, please say goodbye to Dennis.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that episode. We hope that you enjoyed it. If you like this, please like, follow, and subscribe. And please follow us for the latest updates for this season, season 5. And if you feel that this was a benefit for someone else, please let them know. And please follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and YouTube. And thank you so much again. And we will see you on the next one.